What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and seriously? You have a chance to win the double. You have a chance to become champions of the FA Cup, big deal. You have a chance to stick it to your London rivals Arsenal. You have a chance to make sure they finish this season terribly. I mean, 5th place, they're no longer in Champions League. You have a chance to make sure they don't win any trophies and they just suffer this season. You have a chance to do all of that. And on top of that, all the talk about Sanchez leaving, there's a lot of talk that we're looking at picking him up. What better way to say, hey, come to our team than to show him we are champions. We win trophies. We don't give away trophies easily. Conte earlier this week said we need to make sure that we focus because we've obviously we won, we want to celebrate, but we still have another game to play. We still have another trophy to win. When he was talking in the build-up to this game, he was talking about how Arsenal, even though people are considering us the favorites, Arsenal are really the favorites because they've got a lot to play for, and we have to make sure our mentality isn't, oh, we've already won, what's the point of this? Despite all of that, they still went into this game like, who cares? Like, it was embarrassing. This is not even close to the team that we've seen all season. In fact, some of our worst games this season, I don't even think compares to how bad we played today. The lack of communication, the lack of defending, the lack of effort that I saw today was ridiculous. And obviously, we won the league, okay, the FA Cup. If we don't win it, it's not the end of the world. But it's still kind of a big deal that we win it. Let's go ahead and win it. Let's go ahead and show why we were the best team this season. But we didn't today. We went out there and we said, what the hell, screwed around, and then we got our asses whooped for pretty much the entire game. Near the end, a little bit of effort, finally, but what was way too little, way too late. And it's disappointing is what it is. Because I could have ended this season on a high note. We could have ended this season on a high note. I could have ended praising the team, final video, final review of a game to talk about, ending on a happy note, but now I'm pissed because I just had to watch my team laze around the entire game while Arsenal came ready to play. And what's a few things that make this even worse, first of all, Arsenal's lineup. They're missing Koscielny, they're missing Gabriel, they're missing Cech. 3 big players, Gabriel maybe not so much, but they're missing 2 of their key defensive players in Cech and in Koscielny. But that doesn't matter if we don't have possession. And Moses gave it away. Matic gave it away. Pedro gave it away. Costa, for the first half, gave it away. We can't keep possession. Who cares if they have a weakened defense? Because we're not going to get up there and we're not going to pressure them. Okay, so let's look at our lineup. Mostly the same. I don't mind. But Matic starts over Fabregas. Somebody want to explain this to me? Because I really don't get it. I've had a couple people comment on my videos and talk about how, oh, Matic, he deserves to play. He's such a good player. He's a better defensive player than Fabregas. I'm sorry. Based on the last 10 games of this season, coming into the final, based on these games, Matic has been poor. Fabregas has been a star. Why isn't Fabregas starting? Explain that to me, because I really don't understand. I don't understand how Fabregas can just week after week put in these incredible performances. He comes off the bench and he's doing more than Matic does from starting the game. And yet, Matic still starts. And he's done nothing to earn it. And I've said this before in one of my reviews. Whenever you have Matic and Conte, they're both defensive players, it doesn't work. You need one that's a bit more defensive and you need one that's a bit more attacking. That's why Matic and Fabregas, Conte and Fabregas, it works. Matic and Conte, it doesn't work. It does not work. It worked earlier in the season when we first got on a roll and we started going and teams couldn't figure out how to stop us. That was different. Now teams have figured it out. Now teams know what we're doing, and so they know how to stop us. Now we need some creative player in there that can change the game. Matic isn't that player. Fabregas is. He should be starting. So if you want to ask my one complaint, okay, I do have 2 complaints about Conte. That's the big one, though. That is the one that I think it's easy to see Fabregas should be starting over Matic. The fact that he doesn't, I feel like is a huge mistake. And I think we really suffered for it in the first opening 30 minutes before we could really get any momentum in the game. all I could think is he would be providing something for us. He'd be finding the pass. He'd be at least winning the ball. Matt is just sitting there getting beat all over the field. He can't even win the ball off of Ramsey. He's just sloppy play, but that's more individual talk. And then the final thing to talk about is, I mean, obviously the referees suck, but today was just, I mean, you pretty much gave them an early chance to take over the game. You know, in the first 15 minutes, it can go either way. You know, we obviously didn't have a great start, but if we move past that, after 15 minutes, if it's still 0-0, we can start to get a foothold in the game. They start to wear out a little bit from all the pressure that they're applying. But to have the referees just give them a goal is terrible. And if it were something where it's like, oh, well, maybe, you know, oh, his arm, it was kind of out there, but it could be looked at either way. Or, oh, if Ramsey, he didn't really make that much of a move to it, so maybe it's not. It was blatant. Both times, absolutely blatant. Sanchez's hands are up here. Referee's right on it. How can you not see it? Ramsey goes after the ball. Oh, but he doesn't touch it. It doesn't matter. If he makes an attacking motion towards the ball, he's involved in the play. The AR called it correctly. The center ref's like, no. See, they slipped me some money, so goal. Come on. I mean, yes, referees are bad, but this one was blatantly obvious. This was like MLS referees, that type of crap. You know, the stuff that we see week in, week out watching Atlanta United, that's the type of stuff I expect to see over here in the U.S. because referees over here suck. But over there, yeah, they make some mistakes, but most of the time it's something where it's like, okay, well, I can see maybe how he missed that. You know, he didn't have a really good sight. No, he had a perfect view of both of these, and he just missed it on both. And now they're up 1-0 within 5 minutes. Yeah, the tide's going to turn in their favor, especially because we didn't have a good opening to the game. So those are things that are not really something that the players can affect. You know, the starting lineup, that type of thing, that's something you can't really affect. That's on the manager and that's on the referees. Individual performance, and though, let's talk about it, because there were 3 players that I will say have a good game. Nobody's immune from criticism today. I've talked about those type of players before. Nobody today was perfect. Nobody had an all-around great game. But there were 3, in my opinion, that did have a good game. Everybody else, either average or poor. Or shit. One player today was shit. So let's start from the goalkeeper. Courtois, I mean, the goals, I can't really blame on him because, frankly, the first one, I mean, it's just referees make a mistake, players one-on-one. You're not really sure. It's like, okay, well, the AR raised this flag, and so it's kind of like, well, do I stop it? And on top of that, Sanchez kind of mishit it, so he's going one way when it's going the other way. So first goal, I'm not going to blame on him. Second goal, not really his fault either, because I mean, it's a free header in the box. The only thing you can really do there is maybe try to organize to make sure somebody's on him, but second goal, not really much he could do. And there were a few saves he had to make that were crucial saves throughout most of the game. So I'm not going to say he kept us in the game, but he did make a few good saves that I think were very important. So I'm not going to say he had a poor game, but he didn't really have a good game either. He didn't make any crucial saves that kept us in the game. Defensively, Azpilicueta is one of the players that, in my opinion, had a good game. I mean, he had a few mistakes here and there defensively, but overall, I mean, he kept us in the game. He's one of those players that, time and time again, making a challenge, blocking a cross, doing something to force them away so that they're not having all these chances. He did his job again. He's one of those players that kind of goes unnoticed but just does his job effectively. It could have been 5-0 easily, if not for Azpilicueta. And obviously there's some luck playing into that as well. But, I mean, just watching him defend, watching him close down players and block off passes, everything he does, he just does with such quality and energy that you can just tell he's working so hard to try to keep us in the game. There was one moment late on where everybody's kind of jogging around. It's kind of gotten very lazy. And I just see Azpilicueta take off down the field, chasing down a ball, and I'm just like, that's the energy that our team needs right now. And unfortunately, he didn't inspire that in anybody else. But it's that type of work ethic that makes me think he really could step up and be the captain. You know, take over for Terry, because, by golly, Cahill, I mean, okay, I'm going to save Cahill after I'm done with David Luiz, because really poor. He's one of the ones that's verging on the edge of poor and shit, because what was he doing today? I mean, did he just decide to take a nap? Did he maybe get drunk last night? Or what happened? Because he's been kind of iffy the past few games. I've talked about him, I've complained about him. He hasn't been great, but today was just terrible. I mean, he was the second worst player on the field today. It lost track of people, didn't do any sort of great defensive challenges. Even in the air, he wasn't great today. He was good. I don't know what he was doing today. I don't know where his mind was, but it wasn't on the field. And you could see the amount of times that a player made a run in behind him and he's just watching the ball as there they go. It was ridiculous. It's truly remarkable how bad he was today. And that's taking into account how poor he was when he first played for us, the crazy all over the place type of player. Taking into account that player, even this today was still not as bad, or those moments back then were not as bad as he was today. I mean, he really was just. It wasn't even like he was a cone, because at least a cone might trip up a player. He was just not there today. It was truly, truly bizarre how just terrible he was today. And in my opinion, after Ake in the semifinals against Tottenham, I really thought that he was possibly going to get his start today. So the fact that David Luiz got the start and had this type of game, kind of disappointing. More than kind of, really, really disappointing. And then Cahill, let's talk about him because I guess he wasn't poor, but he wasn't good either. And a lot of that has to do with he was making a lot of last-ditch challenges. He did save a couple off the line. So he did put himself in some positions to save a couple goals. But at the same time, a lot of those chances were coming from his mistakes. He's not tracking the player, or he's getting pulled out of position, which opens up space for another player. I mean, that one that he ended up backheeling off the line, the shot from Ozil, if he's over there, if he doesn't get pulled out of position, he's marking Ozil, so there's no shot. But he gets dragged over into the middle against Welbeck, who David Luiz was already kind of on. And so now all that space over there is wide open. And Ozil has all the space in the world, has a decent shot, and then luckily Cahill manages to step in and clear it off the line. So it's hard for me to say he had a good game, even with those clearances, even with those moments where he stepped up, because there are too many moments where he's creating those chances that he's having to save. So it's almost kind of like Pedro in a way, how he'll do something good, but only after something bad, or only he'll do something bad afterwards. So very back and forth. So pretty much average from him today. Alonso, not really a factor today. Especially late on, he started getting really just pulled up the field, looking to attack, and it left so much space on the left side where they could just counter on us. And I realize it's kind of a last ditch, like let's get everybody forward, but you still have to make sure that you're guarding against giving up another one. You're trying to get that equalizing goal, but you're not trying to give up a third. And it just felt like he wasn't interested at all in not giving up a third. He was too busy focused on, I'm going to get up, I'm going to do as much as I can up top. We don't need you up there. You're not really one of those players that I expect to really get in and win a quality header. That's more Cahill, in my opinion. So I don't know. Just overall, he didn't really have much of a factor on the game. He didn't really hurt us. He didn't help us that often. He made a few good challenges, but he also missed a few bad challenges. So very back and forth on him as well. And then on to the one shit player of the day, Victor Moses. I don't know if he just... I don't know what happened to him today. I really don't. But terrible first half. Terrible defensively, terrible on the ball, terrible. Finally started getting a little bit into it, but still defensively not aware. He's just stupid challenges. He's not winning the ball. Even if he does win the ball off him, he's like not aware of where the ball is, and so now it's rolling away as another Arsenal player comes and picks it up. Just not on today at all. And then on top of that, after you make a stupid challenge to get a yellow, you're going to dive in the box. Probably one of the few calls the ref made correctly today. But why? First of all, not only is it a horrendous dive, but you have Fabregas top of the box. All you have to do is lay it to him, and instead he's looking to try to win the penalty. And after such a poor game, that's how you're going to finish it off. You're going to get yourself sent off, put us down to 10 men, and now it's impossible pretty much for us. We got an equalizer, but still, we were already stretched so thin defensively. putting us down to 10 men pretty much opened it up for, oh, we got an equalizer, but they immediately hit back because we are so open defensively now that we have to play 4 in the back instead of the kind of 5. So I just, honestly, this was my other complaint about Conte today. Moses should have come off 5 minutes before this, before he took the dive. It should have been Moses off. I don't know what to do from there because, frankly, I think the idea of putting Aspilicueta out there would have hurt us. I think Willian coming on for Moses would have been my best option. Just he can play that wing position, and he's also pretty good defensively. So I think that should have been a sub that happened 5 minutes before he went down for a dive. I was saying, Fabregas comes on for Matic, and I think Willian should come on for Moses. Fabregas came on, but then Moses takes a dive and gets himself sent off, and just all around, everything surrounding Moses today was piss poor. And that's not something that I've talked about from him this season. Even the games where he wasn't really having a great game, most of the season he did. The games where he wasn't on, it was still like, okay, but he's still kind of involved. He's still helping out defensively. Today, he wasn't there. It was like David Luiz, except even worse. His challenges are worse. His passes are worse. And then to get yourself sent off just makes you the worst player on the field. So really disappointing overall from him. I don't know what happened to him, but it really hurts his overall stature this season, in my opinion. Just how you finish the season is really what a lot of people look at. And so the fact that this is how he finishes it, with a terrible game that ends with him getting sent off for a stupid dive, yeah, it's frustrating. And it taints his season overall, in my opinion. Conte and Matic in the midfield. Conte was another one of the 3 that, in my opinion, had a good game. Not great. Most of the time I expect greatness out of him, so I guess in that respect, saying he had a good game is still poor for him because most of the time he's such a quality player. But first of all, started off very slow. Just his touch wasn't there. The first touch that he had that nearly set up a counterattack, but then Costa kind of got in his way. I'm not going to blame that on him, but you should still have enough of a touch to make sure that you don't give it away in that area. Even if Costa does get in your way, you should still have enough of a touch to kind of get out of his way. But just starting off, he wasn't really there. He wasn't really focused. He started to get into the game. He started to make better challenges. He started to control a bit more of the midfield. Wasn't helped by the fact that Matic wasn't having a good game, but he still was doing a lot of good things and still helping us out. But overall, I think he kind of overexerted himself today, and that's why he didn't have a great game. That moment of, okay, you need to kind of stay and hold because everybody's getting pulled out of position. You don't need to go, somebody else should. But then he goes because he wants to try to be the one to make the challenge there. And so now all of a sudden there's a hole in the midfield where he just left. And honestly, second goal, kind of his fault. Just watching Ramsey break into the box as he's jogging behind him, that's a Mikel thing. That's not something I've come to expect out of Conte. So probably a bit tired just from all the running he did today, but still, that's in that moment, you need to be extremely focused because we just equalized. You need to make sure that you don't lose focus or else they're going to hit you back, and that's what happened. So the fact that he turned off in that crucial moment, it does downgrade him in my opinion, and yeah, kind of disappointing for him to end the season on a poor note in his standards. So while he was still good, a lot of stuff to complain about, which for him isn't that good. And then Matic, just like I said, Fabregas should have started, and he proved why today. Just all of the poor touches, all the times he got beat to the ball, all the times that he was losing out in challenges against guys that are half his size. And I realize, Sanchez is a player that can win it off of people, even though they're bigger than him. He gets around, he flicks it off of them, gets a little toe in. But it wasn't even Sanchez. It was pretty much everybody was able to win the ball from Matic today. He was just such a non-factor in the midfield. He's supposed to be that player that's just there, big body, win it in the midfield, keep possession. But instead he turned into a player that's just not involved. He's losing the ball. His passes aren't great. He's getting beat off the ball. His touches aren't great. I just don't understand why he got the start today and Fabregas didn't. So that was very disappointing. But that's about it for the, I would say, poor performances today. Because the front 3, Hazard was good, and then Costa and Pedro were average. Pedro, once again, had one of those games where, he does something very well, makes a great run, beats a couple players, but then his pass isn't great. Or he plays a good little pass, but then his shot isn't great. So he's so back and forth. I think we need a more consistent player in there. Sanchez might be one of those players, but I think he probably, if they had taken off Moses and put on Willian in that position, I think Batshuayi would have come on for him and gone with Costa and Batman up top. So I think he's so inconsistent in one game that he's kind of scary. There's a moment where we're breaking, but then it goes to him, and you never know what's going to happen. Either brilliance or shit. And then all of a sudden, now they're breaking on us. So back and forth for him today. Costa, poor first half, good second half. And honestly, kind of surprised that he was the one to come off, just because at that moment he started to turn it on and Hazard started to drop off. I expected Batman to come on for Hazard. So when he came off, I was kind of surprised because he had turned it on second half. First part of second half, not really, but as the half grew on, as he started to grow into the half a bit more, got us the goal, nearly got us the second. He was turned on second half. So even though he wasn't really involved in the first half, his passes weren't on. He's too busy focused on trying to fight somebody. Yeah, it's kind of frustrating. But second half, he definitely helped out. He did as much as he could, especially when it went down to 10 men. You could tell he felt like he needed to get us back into it, and then he finally did, but unfortunately our defense was terrible. So, yeah, I kind of feel for him, but at the same time I feel like, first half if you had stepped up, we wouldn't have had to worry about all of this late on in the second half. And then Hazard overall had a good game, but like I said, late on in the second half, right before Batshuayi came on especially, not involved. Just turned off completely. It's like he got demoralized all of a sudden and just stopped working. Stopped making runs. The only time he ever made a run was when he was on the ball, but then if you lost it, he turned off. And I find that very disappointing that, you're the player that I expect is going to change the game, is going to help us and be like, all right, we're down a man, we're down a goal, Hazard provides some moment of brilliance. But instead it's like he got upset and he got disappointed, he got depressed, no more from him. And it's just, I don't know, I find that very disappointing from our most influential player, attacking-wise, all year. You should be the one that's stepping up and saying, all right, guys, I'm going to carry this offense on my shoulders. I'm going to make sure we get something out of this game. And as much as he tried to do in the first half, after we gave up the second goal, it's like, no more from him. That was it. It's like, oh, we got the goal, we're back in it, and then we give up one, and Hazard's just like, all right, I'm done. So, I don't know, I was really disappointed that that's how you're going to end this game. You're going to go out kind of just like, whatever. Because you have the ability to do it. We've all seen he has the ability to do it. And he was pretty much the only one causing problems in the first half. So, yeah, just overall, I am disappointed that he didn't really do enough to kind of help us out late on in the game. But I can say that I'm pleased with, he was pretty much the only one that I was okay with in the first half, because he was the only one trying to do much of anything. He was the only one able to do much of anything. Pedro's a different story. So, yeah, that's about it for the starting lineup. Fabregas comes on, and we started to get a bit of momentum into the game. Really disappointed that Moses got sent off shortly after, because, honestly, we had started to get in the front foot. When Fabregas came on, we started to get a lot more chances. He started providing the balls. We had a lot more control of the possession. So when Moses gets sent off, now all of a sudden we're back on the back foot again. But for what he did, especially even when we went down to 10 men, still really involved, still providing a lot of chances for us. So, honestly, the only disappointment with him is the fact that he didn't start. Willian comes on for Pedro. Like I said, probably should have come on earlier for Moses, but he came on, tried to do something, but I don't know. He's more the player that's going to counter on teams, and because Arsenal were not only a man up but also a goal up, they kind of sat back. They were very defensive minded. They pretty much held most of their players back, so Willian's not able to shine in those moments. And then finally, Batshuayi comes on for the last 10-ish minutes. But like I said, he probably should have come on for Hazard, especially because I think he and Costa up top are a deadly duo. Just from the chances that Costa creates, Batshuayi's there to just put it away most of the time. So I was more disappointed with the fact that he came on for Costa rather than his performance. But he did work hard for the little bit of time that he did have. But overall, I mean, just the team performance wasn't good. The team performance, it was sloppy, it was lazy, it looked like we were still hungover from winning the Premier League, and that's disappointing because everything I heard before this game got me excited. I heard Conte talking about how we have to stay focused. I heard a lot of players saying we need to make sure we stay focused for this game, and it looked, from what I saw today, it didn't look like they did that at all. It looked like they just went out and partied all week, who cares, whatever. That's what it looked like. The performance that they gave today made it look like they didn't care. That before this game there was no preparation. They didn't do any work this week. Because that's what I saw. I saw an Arsenal team that, yeah, they looked good going forward, but we helped them with that. We helped them look good because of our lackadaisical performance. So, overall, obviously, we won the league, so it's still not a poor season. It's obviously a great season, especially compared to last year. But this could have been a chance to just really nail it home that we're not a team to be trifled with. Conte has come in, and he's going to be here for a while now. And this could have been the double to sort of cement the new era under Conte. But instead, we go out, I don't know, like just a bunch of children who we weren't prepared. We weren't ready for this game. We just went out there and said whatever. And Arsenal benefited from that. So I'm just disappointed, mainly because we should have been more prepared. We should have been more ready for this game, and we weren't. A lot of players didn't show up today. Players that should have started didn't. Players that had been performing throughout most of the year didn't perform today at all, and it cost us. So that's about it for this game. I'm going to do a final game or final review of the season. Probably won't be today. Probably will be a few days before I'm actually able to get around to it. Especially, a couple reasons. One, kind of busy right now. Two, I'm not in the mood to do a review. I feel like if I do a review right now, it'll be very negative because of how I feel. And three, I want to make sure that I do a bit of, research and kind of look into some stats and some of the, try to remember some of my most memorable moments, that type of thing. Because I do want to try to encapsulate a little bit of everything in this final season review. But that's about it for me today. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on today's match? Who was today's worst man of the match? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for more Chelsea reviews. I'll see you at the next game. Peace out.